This time on the Amped Up podcast. Okie dokie, I know exactly where I'm going to go with this. Kanye West, ladies and gentlemen.
It sounds...
The filthy 50. We've got McDusters. You know, like...
Yeah, it does. It sounds like the art has become the business.
Yeah.
Like, people view the art as the art of being successful in the business and not the art itself. Bing, bang, boom.
Bing bong.
Rock has always been about rebellion.
Hasn't it just?
Pushing boundaries.
Yep.
And sometimes stepping over that line.
No way.
Did I cross the line?
It's very emo.
Yeah.
What rebel you are.
So today, in this episode, we're going to be talking about the 3 big C's. Censorship, cancel culture. I guess that's 2. Censorship, cancel culture, and controversies.
Mental.
CCCC.
CCCC.
4 C's.
The 4 C's?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So we'll be delving into the battle between rock and censorship, like specifically, and the rise of cancel culture in music, especially
of course
in today's age of social media.
Well, I do have a lot to say.
And also, the whole point of this podcast, delving into the question, is rock music actually dead? Which is, you know...
The scary question.
Is a very scary question.
Mm-hmm. But we won't answer it until the end.
Exactly.
So keep watching.
So, first of all, Caitlin, a question. Censorship.
Yes.
How important or unimportant is censorship in music?
Yeah, I think my personal opinion is I don't mind it. I don't think censorship is a good thing at all. I think explicit words and things like that in music is in a collective with an expression of art, because music is art and it always has been.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with explicit words and scenes and things like that being included in music. I understand there's this whole kind of generation of people that want children to be safer around experiencing that. But then again, art isn't censored in that kind of way.
No.
It's not censored in the same way that music is, and I think that's a little bit... meh. I get it, but I also, you know, it's art. Like, I was like 4 years old listening to like the explicit version of Ed Sheeran's album, and I turned out alright.
Art is... I think censorship, in a sense, where you're censoring the actual art in itself,
yeah, if it's some like descriptive, like horrific, awful thing, yeah, of course censor it, because you don't want to traumatize a child. But it's just the F word.
What I mean is, like, not even with children. I think it's up to the parents of how they individually censor their children from seeing certain things that maybe they don't want them to see
don't censor
at a very young age. But I think in general, adults censoring things against other adults who are free to listen to whatever they want, and obviously it comes up with the freedom of speech as well. Like, at what point can you actually say what you want to say and do what you want to do without being censored by someone?
Exactly.
In that context,
it's so ridiculous. I think when especially like if it's music that you're talking about, because it just miffs me off that like people are kind of like kept from expressing kind of like, because you know sometimes you do need a swear word to help you like get on with a sentence. I find it very useful. I struggle to like stop myself sometimes, but you know it's really it's expressive, and it's like it's a way of showing kind of added emotion. It adds a whole different layer to like music within itself. So exactly.
And obviously there was the big thing in 1985 with the PMRC. So
I did not know about this.
Parents Music Resource Centre. I've got my notes up here just to make sure that I'm saying things in the right way. So they pushed for a regulation of lyrics that they thought were inappropriate because they had themes of like sex, violence, drug use, and like occult kinds of things in them. And then they compiled a list that is called the Filthy 15, which I thought was quite a cool way.
It sounds like an 1850s like train robbery gang.
It sounds
the Filthy 50. We've got McDusters. You know, like
yeah, it does. It sounds like.
I'm imagining train robbers. I don't know why.
Yeah.
The Filthy 15.
Yeah, but
excellent.
So like songs like from Venom, Possessed, which had satanic themes into it, and Prince, Darling Nikki with sexual content, which is interesting. So they kind of just like pressured record labels into like self-regulation, and they were the ones that brought up, I don't know the word, parental advisory. So the stickers that you get on.
Oh, the PG bloody. They
parental advisory, explicit content stickers.
They've got it on Spotify now as well.
Really?
I see those. Well, I don't.
Isn't it just E?
Yeah, I think maybe they used to have it, but they definitely got more interesting. Like Spotify in general, I've noticed they've got more. Like if something's got explicit content, you will know about it. They will inform you about it, which I didn't see previously. I think it's probably just some new update. But
I think it's more useful. Well, it's useful for all of them, but I mean, I think sometimes I don't go into listening to a pop music and expect it, but maybe things like rap and hip hop, I think those kinds of themes are more prevalent, in which case I think it makes more sense to use one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was in 1985 on September 19th, the US Senate held hearings on it, where Dee Snider, Twisted Sister, testified against the PMRC campaign. So they did the song We're Not Gonna Take It, which apparently had rebellion and violence involved. And they were basically arguing that the PMRC misinterpreted lyrics and then assumed hidden meanings that actually just weren't there. They're like, you can hear that, but it's not actually true though.
That's not what's really going on actually.
No.
Do you know what?
And
That's all funny.
Frank Zappa also said that.
I'm loving the names.
I know.
Sorry, I'm just loving them. Are you kidding?
It's so cool. They called the efforts the equivalent of treating dandruff by decapitation.
Do you know what, real?
Because that is true though.
It's 2025, guys. Get some head and shoulders.
You try and censor someone, like what?
Get some head and shoulders. You slice your whole head off.
Yeah, exactly.
Simple fix.
Exactly. Just like using the most abrupt and whatever kind of solution to such a not really. I can't speak today.
That's all
but
right.
You know what I mean? Just like a really extreme solution to a not so extreme problem.
It's an added drama that wasn't even there in the first place, because people were happy just expressing themselves, and people that didn't like hip hop and rock, like music that had expletives didn't listen to it. Yeah, I feel like it's more of like so it's like if I say like the F word in the middle of like a forest. If you want to go out and see me, you can do it, but you don't have to. Yeah, exactly. And then, have I even said the thing at all? It's like that, if a tree falls in a forest thing. It's like, just keep to yourself. If you don't want to hear a swear word, then just don't go looking for one.
Schrodinger's cat, for example.
Whoa. We're getting really philosophical today.
I know, right? But... Yeah, that's what I was trying to say with like the parents. Like you as individuals can choose what you consume. Yeah. Obviously, it's a little bit harder now in social media. Like we're just talking about this in terms of music, but then there's I'm talking
about like the kids that are actually going to be affected by a swear word are earlier years when they're not likely to have social media, unless you're giving them a phone at 4 years old. Like. They won't be exposed to that at all. No. The radio has, has always had like censorship and shit like that. Ooh, yeah. Whoopsies. Oops.
Censorship and shit like that.
Shit like that, Ooh. No, yeah.
No, that's what I mean with like parents. You can choose what you want your kids to view, and you as adults can choose what you want to view. Yeah. But then in times of Twitter especially, you log on and you don't really get a choice in what you see.
No.
Let's be honest. I don't follow a lot of people on Twitter, but I still somehow find the most
Twitter's one of the few places that... Do you remember... I mean, we're of a generation where we experienced a lot of unfiltered internet.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was so new and that there was no censorship and things like that. But Twitter is still that place. I remember on YouTube there were some interesting things I've seen. Instagram, oh my god, trauma.
Yeah.
Traumatizing things we've seen. But nevertheless, Twitter has remained the same the entire time. And I find it quite disturbing sometimes. I like the Instagram and YouTube are now kind of a bit more monitored. I feel a bit safer, personally.
I think that's the argument, though. I feel like places like YouTube and Instagram have developed more of a censorship field of view of things.
Yeah. It's still
Twitter is completely
rogue.
Yeah.
It's because it's...
But that's the argument. Are we free to say and do whatever we want?
Ooh.
Which I think, yeah. But I mean, that doesn't mean that whatever you say or whatever you do, someone has to agree with.
No.
You can say and do what you want.
That's the whole point of free speech. The whole point of free speech is that you're allowed to say it, but
doesn't mean
people are going to like it.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean it's moral.
Doesn't mean people care for what you have to say. It's just the point that you can say it. And
exactly.
That's what makes you free.
And another trial that went on as well in 1990, Judas Priest.
Please tell me they have called Judas Priest. Are you kidding? What a name! Guys, these names are incredible. I wish I was... Was it just like an era of amazingly named people, or like what?
I don't know.
Judas Priest. Oh my god, that's a connotation and a half, man.
I know, but not such a fun story.
Oh, okay. May have spoken too soon.
But that literally sounds like that Ed Sheeran clip. It's like, yeah, when my nan found out she couldn't walk. Oh shit. Or that woman on that Jubilee episode, like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, she's like. Yeah. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
In 1985, two Nevada teenagers, Raymond and James Vance, attempted suicide because of Judas Priest's cover of "Better by You, Better Than Me." It was Raymond Belknap. I can't really pronounce that name. But he died instantly, and then Vance survived. But he was severely disfigured and then died 3 years later. And then their families sued Judas Priest and the CBS Records, claiming that the song contained subliminal messages like, do it. So encouraging kids
to
do that. And then obviously 2 people ended up dying. In the ruling, though, the band denied any of that, and they sarcastically pointed out, if we were going to put subliminal messaging in our music, wouldn't we tell people to buy more records instead?
Exactly. You don't want to be killing your fans.
No.
That's not the dream of most artists, I would say.
Yeah, and also audio analysts found no evidence of actually them doing it intentionally, saying...
I want to get this song a little listen, do you know what? Because...
Yeah.
I mean, not that we should do it on the podcast because it might be quite bad, but still.
And the case was like dismissed, and the messages were just purely coincidental.
Well, you can't prove that a song killed someone.
I would say it's the same argument
unless they wrote it in the note, you know.
Yeah, I would say it's the same argument as well that people use with video games.
Yeah.
Oh
my god, there was a lot of video games like over the years where it's like, what was that whale game? I heard about there was this like whale game, or maybe it's from my mum telling me something, I can't remember, but there was this game that caused one of these kids to kill themselves because of the subliminal messaging within it. Basically you had to like complete tasks, and this kid in like I want to say China or Japan, I can't remember which country, is in Asia. This kid actually killed himself because that was one of the final tasks. You have to keep on completing tasks and like stuff like that, and it was like just the subliminal messaging building you up to this. It was an evil little game.
But yeah, I think there's a difference between
You can't prove
those. Yeah, there's a difference between those kinds of games and like
Music.
actual video games as well, and music, because that game was obviously created or in that kind of way, like as a creepypasta kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm talking video games like GTA.
Oh.
People like
GTA.
Do you know things like that where it's like promotes violence, and then people actually go out and do those things because it inspires them? But in my opinion, if you're the type of person that would do that,
you've got more problems to begin with, man.
Yeah, I think like if people are gonna do it, they're gonna do it. They don't need a video game to tell them to do it.
I feel like if a serial killer became a serial killer, it would be because of their own previous moral kind of predicament, not because GTA told me to do it.
Yeah.
No, you know what? If there was GTA or there wasn't, and this man still was like, you know, going out and killing people or being violent and whatever, I feel like even if GTA didn't exist, if someone was like, oh, you should punch someone, even if a violent thing was discussed generally within a conversation, that man would probably still go out and do it anyways.
Yeah.
So I don't think, like, no matter what kind of form you're going to see it in, humanity is, you know, inherently violent sometimes, which is a bit depressing, but it all depends on your moral compass.
Yeah, and I think with children and that,
children are a bit more...
They're a bit more easily coerced into doing things.
Yeah,
because then they've not developed 100% in the brain area.
No.
But that's why I think these things have 12, 15, 18 ratings.
Yeah.
And you as parents can then decide if that's what you want your kids to be viewing, then that's what you want your kids to be viewing, whatever. And it's the same with music, I guess, with the parental advisory sticker. But I think it's much harder to stop a child from listening to music than it is to stop them from playing a video game. Because music is everywhere.
Well, yeah.
Like a video game, you have to actually go out, buy it. At least back in the day, you could go out, buy it, you have to buy the disc, you have to have the console, you play it inside the house. With music, you can put headphones on, go out, go to a party, listen to it there.
It is everywhere, and it's so much more easily accessible, which is an amazing thing, but it's also, it comes with positives and negatives like everything does. I would say, I'd say music is, in general, is a very beneficial thing. I don't know, like, it's not, I think it honestly depends on the parents, and once they've got to an age where they're kind of going out to parties and things like that, they're already going to be experiencing a lot of other negative social things. So I feel like, you know what, it's up to them, and it's up to how they treat it and deal with it, you know.
Yeah, it just shows how much music like influences listeners.
It does
completely and entirely. Think about the influence that people like Harry Styles and Taylor Swift have on people.
Ooh la la.
Try going to one of their concerts and not like being killed. Like,
I joined a cult at one point. Yeah.
Oh my god. You just, it's the fandoms of these people. Some of them would listen to every single word that they said
for subliminal messaging.
Yeah.
I remember joining this kind of trope. I like Harry Styles, but I'm scared to associate myself with certain types of people because of just how aggressive it is, and it really stresses me out. But when his album came out, like one of his newer ones, everyone was like, guys, do you not hear that little whistle in this one? It was definitely just some sort of error, or like some, like his, you know, tooth gap came through or something like that. But everyone was like, oh my god, it's like got some deep meaning. And I fell down the rabbit hole, man.
I do think that comes into another topic of like people trying to outdo everyone, trying to prove that they're the biggest fan of them.
I know.
Like, I heard this in the song and you didn't.
I'm sorry, I'm not the biggest fan, okay? I'm sorry, sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's a whole different kettle of fish.
Isn't it?
But yeah, that does also show the music's influence on listeners as well, but just individual artists, and not just music in general. I think, yeah.
Literally.
Definitely. Alright. So that kind of leads us into this idea of now cancel culture. Of how do you then if you take all of that into account of these people creating these songs, and then people
How
could
do you cancel them?
subliminal messaging and things within songs.
Yes.
How can you then separate the artist from the art?
Okie dokie, I know exactly where I'm going to go with this. Kanye West, ladies and gentlemen. Where do I begin? We've all been on Twitter. We've all seen the I think it's still going on. The rampage. Before is he banned?
I'm not too sure. I saw the initial outbreak.
He got banned.
The plague.
Oh my god. I mean, he's done some interesting things over his career, and I still hear his music. This man in the last 2 weeks, I know he's done a lot more interesting things over the years, but the last 2 weeks, especially on Twitter, he has said some of the most horrific stuff I have ever seen written down in writing.
Yeah.
It
For
was
public viewing.
Yeah, just the most anti-Semitic prose. Oh my god, it was awful. I wouldn't call it prose, actually. It was just wrong. It was just wrong in so many different ways, and there was just nothing condoning it at all. It was just disgusting.
It was incredibly vile.
He has not really been cancelled. I still hear people playing his music, and I still hear people going, this man is the best artist ever. And I'm like, how? What? But you just saw his Twitter. You literally, everyone's seen it. He literally shoved it down every single person with social media's throat.
That's the whole idea, though. That's where it gets controversial. Is there a line between which you can draw where you still listen to music, or can someone be like really, really, really horrible and you can still enjoy their music? Or is there a point where you're too much of a dick, I can't listen to your music
But I feel like Kanye's gone Ye has gone like beyond that. Like, he has said some of the most horrific things I've ever heard uttered, and yet people are still listening to him. And I've asked those people, I'm like, bro, why are you listening to Kanye? Like, what? Because I really struggle sometimes. It might be because of cancel culture, but I really struggle separating the art from the artist. Like, I really struggle, because I always like to think about the artist when I'm listening to music. Sometimes because I like that kind of contextual thing. It's like really fun.
Feels like you're bonding with them.
Yeah, it does. And it kind of like, it'll add another layer. Like, but with Kanye, I can't listen to his music because I'm literally just like hearing the most like anti-Semitic tweets in my head as this like song is going on. I'm just like twitching.
Yeah.
It's not.
So for you, it's very much you cannot separate artists from.
I tried really hard, because people were like, no, his music's still good, and I was like, alright. And I tried, but I just can't do it.
No, I mean, I'm not a listener of Kanye West. I've obviously heard songs before.
Yeah.
I've Stronger and American Born, all that kind of thing. But I'd never put Kanye West in my playlist anyway.
No.
It's something where if it came on, I would probably still acknowledge that the song is good.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't ever support him in that way.
No.
Like, I feel like I can separate art from artists to a degree.
I mean, his music,
but it does remind me of what he has done and said.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
His music is good, but it's like, I don't want to give him the benefit of like having an extra listener, you know?
Yeah.
And I know I make no difference whatsoever. This man is still a millionaire, like billionaire, whatever the hell. Like, it's not going to change anything. But for my own like peace of mind, I try and not associate myself with that. But the same goes for a lot of other artists. I mean, like,
that was, I mean, obviously Kanye West is
Kanye West is such an extreme example, but there's other ones, there's other artists. No one's slate is clean, especially in the music world, because you're exposed to a lot of fame very, very quickly, and a lot of people do not know what to do with that.
It's like,
and tend to fuck up in the public eye.
It's like less extreme examples. I really enjoy like Dominic Fike. But I've heard like some not so nice things about him, and this is obviously nothing in comparison to like Kanye West.
No.
But sometimes when I listen to his music, I'm like, oh, you're saying all this, but you're a big fat cheater.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not right. But I can separate that because it's not a huge
I think,
thing. I don't know.
I think it all depends on your like moral compass and everything. I heard some interesting stuff about Joni Mitchell the other day.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You know, Amanda Seyfried kind of got a song going on TikTok because Amanda Seyfried, she was on the Late Night Show and she played Joni Mitchell's California.
Yeah.
And I was going, oh, love that song. And then this person on TikTok was like, you'll never guess what Joni Mitchell. I can't believe you guys are bringing back Joni Mitchell. And I was like, bringing back? I swear she's a household name, but all right. And then I got curious and I responded to the comment and I went, what is cancelable about Joni Mitchell? The plethora of like just indecencies that woman has done, all fact checked as well.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
I was shocked to my very core.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go on about what happened. You can Google it for yourselves, but it was interesting.
Really?
And I really struggle to listen to her music now. And I hate it because I love Big Yellow Taxi. I love that song with all my heart. And I'm like, oh no. Oh.
That's what's so horrible about it.
I hate cancel culture. It sucks.
That's what when we were talking about how much an audience can connect with the music, they're connecting with the artist.
Yeah.
When you listen to someone's song, when you look at someone's art, you're connecting on that level with that person.
I get into such a big moral dilemma, it's in my own head.
When you create art, it's not surface level, it's deep within someone.
It is.
You're experiencing a part of that person.
A little bit of your soul.
Yeah. So then when they do something or have done something and you find out about it,
and you don't agree with that.
It kind of ruins your view of the art. Even if you can still listen to it, it doesn't sound the same, it doesn't look the same, it doesn't feel the same.
No.
Which is interesting. It's the same way that people viewed Michael Jackson as well. Like, when I was younger, I loved Michael Jackson so
How
much.
young are we talking? Because I was terrified of that man when I was little.
Well,
when he was still alive, oh my god.
I was a fan of him. He was just about dying by the time I was a fan of him.
He was, yeah.
Like 2008 upwards.
Oh, yeah.
He died in 2009. But I was still young at that point. I was like 7.
I became like a fan of him like after he died, I would say, because it was just my own brain, but I saw Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and I saw Michael Jackson on television and I thought the child catcher and Michael Jackson were the same. It was my own mistake, I admit that, but it took me a lot of years to mentally get over the fact that I thought he was the child catcher.
Mistaken full irony as well.
It was ironic.
He was the child catcher. But I mean, that's the controversial topic that people go through is like, did he actually do that or did he not? And to be honest, because it's so the terms of that were ambiguous.
Yeah.
Not 100% confirmed true.
No.
It's not so. Oh, this is very hard to say without sounding like.
No.
It's just it doesn't. I don't find it too difficult to separate the art from the artist in that regard. Like Kanye West, everything he's saying is what he believes. It's like it's
this
true.
man is just outright like
he's saying things from his head that's factual to him. You know what I mean? And like
to play devil's advocate though, this man is very clearly off his meds. I mean, the stuff that he was saying on Twitter would be indicative of someone with quite severe bipolar disease as well.
Yeah.
I do think about that from time to time. I don't agree with this, like, oh my god, the things he has said are horrific and you should take whatever punishment you get. But I also do think about it like that. That man is definitely suffering in some sort of way. It's not if he didn't have that kind of illness, who would say that he would do the exact same thing? Like, it's just it's nasty.
I think that's the whole point. Like, there's certain varying degrees of the way that people act.
Yeah.
Extreme or unextreme. But it can still affect the way that people view music depending on your personal experiences. Which I think is very, very interesting. So yeah. I'll still enjoy a bit of Smooth Criminal every now and then.
Smooth Criminal. Oh, I love MJ.
So, Caitlin.
Mm-hmm.
As we know, the whole point of this podcast
Yes.
is rock music.
Is it?
It is rock music.
No way, I thought it was classical.
No, it's not classical. And in light of all of these subjects, in light of controversies and cancel culture,
Yarp.
and AI as well, as we've spoken about
Whoa.
before, engulfing all of the topics of conversation that we have spoken about on this podcast before,
Uh-huh.
do we think that rock music is dead?
Pretty loaded question there, I must say.
It is a very loaded question. We can break it down.
Okay, please.
Why is rock music struggling in the streaming era?
Oh, many things. I mean,
It was very dominant in the music industry,
was.
especially when Elvis
the
Presley,
90s.
Chuck Berry, those kinds of people.
That was when it began. That was when
Yeah.
it began.
Exactly.
Swinging 60s.
Because, like, pop and hip hop and electronic music and things, they all predominantly take over the charts.
They do.
They do, all the time.
That's cause they're more, I would say, not to generalize, because all songs are different and some of them are actually amazing and I listen to them a lot. But pop and the things that kind of dominate the charts, I would say, especially nowadays, are more easier songs. Like, not in a mean way, I just generally mean like they're more relatable towards the masses. Like, a rock song will get into some niche and it will fixate on that, and a lot of people can't relate to that, and they can't relate to the sounds and stuff like that.
I mean,
but like, pop music is generally quite transferable across countries and different age groups and things like that. People like a pop song.
I can sort of agree with that. But I also think that pop songs in general favour the kind of content that we are
Catchy
always
tunes.
taking in now. Shorter, everything's got a hook in it.
Yeah.
It's very catchy and like somewhat repetitive.
Yeah.
And rock songs, especially like progressive rock and things, they are longer songs. They are often always in a big album that's taken a while to make. Less hook focused, and they are not then placed into the Spotify playlist.
No.
Because they don't, and I say this with air quotes, like catch you within the
Air
first
quotes.
5-10 seconds.
Yeah.
Like a pop song might do.
Normally does.
Yeah.
They're quite kind of like, you can just produce them and produce them and produce them and people will still love them again and again and again. Like, I don't personally like that at all though, because I think the best thing about music is that it is a form of art. It's not I know it's a business, but I don't like it as a business.
But then that's your freedom of speech to say that, but it doesn't mean that everyone has to agree.
No
and say
one's
that.
going to agree with me, and no one's going to change. The music industry isn't going to change just because like I went on a podcast and went, oh my god, I hate that it's a business. Like, no one's going to listen to me. But I still think it's true that it is just like, I don't like that it's a business. I think music generally is art, and I love finding an artist. And I found I've resonated a lot more with rock artists in my experience with music, because a lot of them are very intense with their kind of like artwork, and they're like making artwork within this, and they find it like, some of them are just like wah, like really loud, and like some of them are quieter and more melodic, and it's just
the varying degrees of rock music.
Isn't it?
I know, right?
Isn't it bloody just?
But that's just not what is favoured now. Like you look at people like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and things. Every single one of their songs, it doesn't just get straight into it.
No.
You don't hear the lyrics in some of the songs until 4 minutes.
And
in
half the
most
time the
pop-
lyrics is just some woman screaming.
And in like pop music, you get the lyrics in the first 2 seconds, 5 seconds.
Hello
of the
there.
song. And if you're not getting the lyrics until 4 minutes into a rock song, the pop song is already finished and you could have listened to it twice.
Yeah.
Double the amount of money made there.
Before the lyrics come on or some rock songs, yeah.
And that's what people favour. It's a money-making business.
Ugh.
It brings to the question...
if it weren't...
like, things that are just becoming more business-related and less about the art and more about just making the money from the art.
You could say that about everything, I would say.
I would say that in some cases, the art has become the business.
Yeah.
Like, people view the art as the art of being successful in the business and not the art itself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Being able to create a pop song that can catch people really easily. It's very catchy. People will be singing it everywhere, whatever. Good lyrics and things. That's the business of making a very successful pop career.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to write things from the bottom of your heart and soul.
Thing is though, like, some people, like, for example, like Taylor Swift, like her albums, people, especially her fans, they consider it as art.
Yeah.
Like, I know we're kind of like dissing the pop industry a little bit, and I'm kind of, but I do think that it depends on who's listening to it. Some people genuinely think that pop music is like art, like the lyrics are so like beautifully like intertwined.
Yeah, I would never say...
I don't hear it, but...
I would never say it's not art in a form. I would just say it's not quite as complex as some other areas of music. It doesn't require as much thinking as some... I'm not trying to be pretentious in that
it can be ruined.
I love pop music.
It can be ruined by a few people that genuinely just think it's a money-making scheme.
Yeah. It has become a little bit more like that.
Yeah.
Now. But I still think it's good music.
I think
it's not like some of it is not good. Believe me, some things that I've heard.
Ouch.
Like that guy, like, but at this rate, it's kind of looking like. Okay, like what is that? I cannot stand that song.
No, I forgot about that song.
The thing is, though, it has everything that a pop song is. It's catchy, but in like I hate it.
No, but it's like he went on ChatGPT and went, AI, write me a pop song.
Yeah, it's stuck in my head in a bad way. I don't like it.
It's catchy, but in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
It's just hurting my brain.
Stuff like that. But then, obviously, there's other pop songs that I really enjoy, like Sabrina Carpenter songs.
Oh.
I actually enjoy that. But I view it as way more of like, I don't want to think right now, I just want to enjoy myself. And then there's other songs that I listen to, like Sufjan Stevens, for example. I listen to him when I actually want to, when I feel like I want to listen to some very like...
He's so relaxing.
Relaxing, but I want to think a little bit about my life a bit more. Yeah. Philosophize, if you will.
I want to like think about like Plato.
Yeah, different
in
music.
An Italian like countryside villa, you know.
Different music has different purposes.
It transports you into different places.
But maybe the reason why rock music isn't as prevalent as it is now is that maybe it's not serving to what people want.
Maybe
now,
not as relatable
as it was back in the day.
Yeah.
But then modern bands are keeping it alive a little bit, like Maneskin. I think they are an incredible band because they are mixing. I'm obsessed with them. They're mixing like that glam rock aesthetic with like. They're mixing it a little bit with pop in a way.
They were incredible at Eurovision. I remember watching them like when they first kind of like broke out via Eurovision, and I was literally just like gobsmacked.
Yeah.
It literally, I remember like saying as they came out, I was like, oh, rock is so back now.
Yeah.
It got me back into rock. I think I was going through a pop phase at that point in my life, but I just completely surrounded myself with Måneskin at that point. It's just Damiana's kind of like, like there was something so feral about it. It made you just want to like headbang. I think my dad was headbanging at that point. Like I wouldn't be surprised because it was like the whole family was sitting in the front room. We were just like.
They represent a new field of rock music. Wave. It's like a shift in the rock music landscape, but they're not necessarily in the past. They're kind of modernizing it. Yeah. And it's something a little bit new, but
like further bit feminism,
but familiar as well. You know what I mean?
Defo.
I do like them. I don't listen to a lot of their music, to be honest, but
I love them.
I love their most popular stuff.
Oh. Yeah. I haven't thought about Måneskin in like a week or two.
Is it Måneskin?
Måneskin.
I thought it was Måneskin.
The Italians, it's like Måneskin. At least that's how they pronounce it. So
Oh,
yeah,
love Italy.
lovely.
Anyway, I think that rock music isn't dead.
Mhm.
It's just not as popular as it used to be, which is a shame.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, Molly. It is. Oh, I don't know what else to tell you there.
Well, anyway, that was positively splendid, Caitlin.
Wasn't it just?
We discussed the 4 big C's of censorship, cancel culture, and
Cancelled.
controversy.
Sorry.
And then thought, well, rock music isn't dead.
No.
It's just...
It's
in
alive
fact-
within our hearts.
Yeah. And that will be a melancholy ending to season 1 of the Amped Up podcast.
Season now.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Hasn't it just?
We've talked about women and how they're useful in the music industry.
I mean, shock of the century.
I know, right? We've took on some of your suggestions for some
Talked about
artists.
Nepotism.
And
Jesus.
AI.
Talked about Perth being in Australia.
Yeah, all amazing topics.
All the right things, you know? All the things that people really, in this day and age,
all we want to
in
be
this
hearing
political climate, this is what people want to hear, you know?
about. Exactly. And it was an absolute pleasure.
Wasn't it?
And our next episode will be a special of sorts, Caitlin.
Oh?
It will be a special episode where, I don't know if I should say, if I should spoil what we have to see.
Who knows?
Maybe you just have to check out our TikTok
Hey.
or Instagram or anywhere else.
Social media.
Yeah. Thank you, Caitlin. Been a pleasure.
Thank you, Molly. It's been a pleasure too.
Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast episode. Yeah, enjoy your life. Have a good breakfast, dinner, or lunch, whatever you're eating.
Enjoy your life.
Cilantro.